our values. When I went to school, we were every day pushed truth, truth, integrity, values of, be good, not to hurt others. This was just taught day in and day out, day in and day out. It became a habit rather than just a lecture. So I think that the first starts with the education, and then those who are being educated, now I think almost 80%, 85%, 90% of them are in the schools today. Maybe still 10% might not be there. Maybe the government is not accepting, but they might not be there. But then you people get almost 50% of them once a week to talk to, one-to-one. And this is where we can make a change. No other efforts can be a better effort than to make first a good Kenyan. Right from the day of his birth, he starts feeling proud to be Kenyan and responsibility to be a Kenyan. And this is what we should be teaching and pushing hard. I'm very happy that I think gentlemen on the other side of integrity, I think, what was the Transparency International? Transparency International was started by 4 people. One was Mr. Gathongo, not the Gathongo that you see all the time in the newspaper, anti-corruption, his father. It started because this man, the United Nations man, I would not remember the name again, the UN man, the World Bank man, was a resident representative of World Bank in Kenya. And after staying in Kenya, he said, my God, even we are not doing good to any country. So he decided to start this campaign of Transparency International. And one beautiful morning, I had a visit from Mr. Gathongo. And he said that we have selected you to be one of the members. And I said, who else? I think it was this late Abdullah, who used to be the deputy of the central bank. And then there was Joe Wanjui. And it was not allowed those times. So we were to meet at Norfolk. We meet in one room, then we disperse, again go and meet another room. It took time before we could just make it happen. And when the people changed and said, yes, okay, it is a necessity that we have a policeman to find out and tell us what is happening. Transparency International is bringing us the information. And they say that they are bringing all the information. Nothing can be found, all the information. But whatever they are bringing, good information, tells us. But how many of us look at it? Think about it. The amount of economic downturn that we see, how can we do it? So there was another interesting example that I saw of over here in Transparency International. Now, are we first prepared before you put up a sign in a paper? Because this is work of just converting your mind that we have a responsibility to do something. But once you put up a sign on the paper, it turns into a responsibility. And responsibility means sitting together with as many people as you can, from your chama, from your church, from wherever you have, to talk about issues and talk about what is good and what's bad. And you don't have to go to the ultimate of politics or things like that. Simple things, what's right and what's wrong. It does not have to have a definition of what's right and what's wrong. You don't have to have a definition, oh, it's not night, it's day. Day is day and night is night. And there are some clear definitions. And see that it goes into the minds of our people. And then ask him, Are you committed to this? If the answer is that, well, that means you know that it's not going to happen. So I think that you have a major responsibility. Besides being the head of your religious groups, you have a major responsibility. That it cannot be done automatic. Because we have left the responsibility right from the childhood to tell our children what is right and what is wrong. And I still remember a story that I used to learn at a school. And this is many years back. For all your information, I'm probably the oldest person over here. I'm 89. So, this story was that there was a little farm and the father was taking his son around, and he found that on the hedge there were some nice fruits hanging. So the father said, pick it up. The son said, hey, but it's not ours. Plant is on the other side, it's growing from the other side, it's just coming on our side. That doesn't mean it's ours. He said, don't worry. Nobody knows, nobody sees. And the son says, yeah, but you know, God sees. How many such tales that we tell to our children? So it starts at home. Our women, our men. When you walk in, and if you are guilty, and if you don't fill, and when your son asks or your daughter asks, hey Papa, so I think we need quite a bit of wash. Unless and until we create ourselves capable of attending to the basic cause that this country requires employment, requirements growth, requirements investments, and why it is not happening. Why it's happening at a slow speed. I was born in this country. I have almost spent my life. Do I want to see a country which I thought is my country and I want to see it grow? So each one of you has something to give. And something is not which is immaterial. It might be immaterial to you think today, but it must put the seed in the soil. Not putting only the seed in the soil, make it very sure that it develops into a little plant. Upright. And that responsibility is, many a times, we as a layman leave it to you guys, look after our children. No. You tell that man, first is your responsibility. And then I come into the picture. So I think that there are basic issues that we got to remember. That what we are discussing, the subject has got direct and indirect effect. Today, 40% of our children go to sleep with half a meal a day if they're lucky. If they're lucky. How much are we concerned about it? Tell me. We can speak and we can always support and say how wonderful. Not wonderful. A guy who goes to sleep without food, to him nothing is wonderful. Life only exists when you have something in your stomach. Think about him. Think about the child who doesn't have that. And these are all being devoid and not available to them because we are in a business of corruption. So I don't think that I want to tell you about more how and what, but what are our responsibilities? If as a human being, if we cannot stand upright, do we say I'm a good Kenyan? We can say I'm a Kenyan, but do we say I'm a good Kenyan? No. So all we are appealing today is that before you sign and the time you sign, the responsibility starts. That you've got to make sure how many people have been touched by your saying, by your preaching, by your telling them that how we can resolve these issues. And the life can only be wonderful if we can resolve the issues. If we cannot resolve the issues, it is not possible. I like Mr. Kaikai's telling us how much can one do, and yet we cannot get anywhere. This is what we should be asking for. Ourselves and to our conscience. Because virtues doesn't come when you are born. They are cultivated as you go through. And unless and until we can make that happen and make our mothers, make our teachers, make our employers responsible for this, then and then we can make a change. I think that there are so many other issues that are left out over here. But ladies and gentlemen, the simple equation over here is simple. 40%, and that's not a correct figure either, it's more than that, 40%, are below poverty line. There are young people hoping that we are Kenyans and they're going to die, and many of them have died, not seeing the results of independence. Why? I would say, me included, and all of us are responsible for it. You take that seriously. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you want to change it. You can change. You cannot change otherwise. And change is very difficult in life. The word change is easy, but to put it into practice is very difficult. And unless and until we start understanding that no change, we are not getting anywhere. And remember the technology. This is going to run our life. The whole thing that you think is not going to be what you thought. And in 10 years' time, you will find that this will be commanding everything that you need and everything that you want. Now, how many of us are really willing to say, yes, I'm prepared to change? I was called ICT champion. And all of a sudden I found out that I don't even know how to operate a computer. So I learned how to operate a computer. I didn't know very much about it, but still I can operate my computer. Because if I'm not there with the time, if I just only going to say, no, it's not good, it's not this, you cannot survive. You please cannot survive. To survive, be with the time. And if you're not going to be with time, it's not going to happen. And to be with time is to first say to yourself, hey, am I convinced? And I tell you, the 50% or 60%, that's a humbug. Is not the answer. Answer is to use it, and use it for the betterment of a society. And so, all we can say, and when I went to his office, I asked him, I say, Your Grace, what have you accepted? And as a true Christian, I thought that I will get the answer, I'm chosen. Whatever it is. I said, hey, but this is a very difficult task. He said, Manu, I'll try my best. that honesty of purpose is what is needed. And so when he asked me, will you attend? I'll say, I'll attend. When he asked me, would you come and speak as a keynote speaker? I said, all right, I will. Because I'm not obliging to him. I think that he has got some excellent background to make it happen. And I think, but it requires all of your support. And support can only come when you are committed, and next to you is committed, and then your church is committed, and your elders in the church are committed, and the children are committed, then and then we can make it happen. I'm not an overly religious man, but here there is no question of religion, neither it's seeing our life for a better Kenya. And each one of you are responsible for it. Because you are in a leadership role. And leadership role requires commitment. And commitment for good of Kenya. You can always have a commitment for bad of Kenya, but this is not a stage where I can say it's a bad of Kenya. Because you people all come with a philosophy of goodness. But let's see, put it into practice. I think that Your Grace, your effort in trying to happen will find lots of obstacles. But no obstacle can be cleared unless and until these people who are committed over here can do it. So I think that, Your Grace, you are putting up a lot of responsibility on the people who are going to sign. Not for themselves, but themselves as the delegates of the religious bodies that they are representing. And I think there couldn't be anything better than come out clear and say, I commit. And then, yes, you can. And that's why we can make a life in Kenya a better life. And we don't want to. I was a 10-year chair of Street Film Rehabilitation Trust Fund. Now to be 10 years chairman of Rehabilitation Trust Fund of street children. Every time I walked into those slums, I came home and cried. What can I do? When ourselves, we want them to be there, thrown. What can you do? So it requires a huge, let's say, a revolution. Not even a revolution, the word that we use in IT. What is the word you, Mr. Kaika, you use it? What we say that now they are going to a disruption. A huge disruption in our thinking. And the minute you start thinking, that's my responsibility, you'll find a job. You'll find a way. The minute you say, oh, put up the glass up like this so that you don't see him, that is not the answer. So, Your Grace and your staff, I hope you the best. And all the religious leader, please, this is a time when a man is coming and asking you, one of you is coming and asking you, I need your help. Let's help him. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, our chief guest, Dr. Manu Chandaria, for that message, asking us to commit ourselves to help the 20 million Kenyans, the 46% of Kenyans who live below the poverty line. That is the commitment we have been asked to. That if we join this fight, we finish corruption in Kenya and lift the 46% or 20 million Kenyans, which is 3 times the number of Kenyans who are there at independence, out of poverty. That's the call will be made, and I think they have heard it well. And now
All right, that is the stakeholders forum happening at the Pan-Afric Hotel, where the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is meeting several leaders, including religious leaders from various organizations, and they're signing a memorandum on how to work together to end the scourge that is corruption. And we watched earlier as the chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, who has finished the first 100 days. It's actually 116 days in office, speaking and, of course, outlining some of the measures they have put in place to ensure that they defeat corruption. And we've also had the commitment from various religious leaders who are involved, making their own commitments to aid in fighting corruption. It's never been an easy walk sitting at the helm of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. In fact, Eliud Wabukala came in at the time that this institution was very low on credibility. And right now, after Mubeya speaks, who's one of the deputies to the CEO, they'll sign the parts that will be used moving forward, the commitment that the EACC needs right now in order to fight graft. Leila Mohammed is at Pan Africa Hotel. She'll be briefing us a little bit later on, and of course breaking down this story and telling us exactly what was said by who and why the commitment was necessary at this particular time. In fact, looking at the election also and the number of leaders who have signed pacts also with the EACC and commitments to do the right thing. So it's very important coming at this time, this commitment from the EACC. We'll be looking at that a little bit later on, but first, NTV Today takes a short break. We'll be back with all the business, entertainment and sports. Stay with us.